Okay, should be recording. Okay, we're recording. Good. All right, let me go back to share screen. And we'll go ahead and get started. Well, good evening, everybody. Let's go ahead and begin. All right, my name is Robert Kennedy, and I will be your history instructor for this competency-based education course for History 1302 for the spring semester. So let's begin the course, right? Make sure you have your study guides that were posted in Pronto available to you. So you know what you're preparing for, right? So the questions that are in that study guide are going to be the questions on the orientation exam. So go ahead and click start here. Go ahead and click the syllabus to get started. First thing to point out about the syllabus is the basically grading criteria, right? So you guys are in a CBE course. So if this is the first time you've taken a CBE course, or just a reminder to those that do, there's only 3 grades available in this type of course: an A, a B, or an F, right? I've got nothing to do with that. That's just the way these courses are structured. So it's a pretty high bar, right? It's definitely doable. You just have to regularly keep up with the schedule and on a consistent basis. So there are no due dates in a CBE course, but don't fall into the trap a lot of students fall into in these courses. Since there are no due dates, that means I don't need to get started until mid-April, right? You will not complete this course if you do that. Guarantee it. So please have a steady schedule. So what I highly recommend is really looking at your schedule in its entirety: work, family, church activities, sports, whatever it is you got going on in your life, and map it out. All right, this might take a good hour, maybe even 2 to do this, probably not that long, but map it out and then see what you have available and have a dedicated schedule to this course, right? 2, 3, 4 times a week, a couple of hours at a time, maybe even longer, that you are dedicated to doing your course, right? And if you don't have these big 2-3 hour blocks at a time, no problem, right? If you realize, hey, I've got a half an hour on Monday, Wednesday mornings, and I've got 20 minutes on Thursday afternoons, it might be a very kind of schedule all over the place when it comes to this course. Every minute counts. So have the point is to have a consistent schedule, right? If you get in this mindset of, oh, I'll just log in tomorrow, right? That'll catch up with you, and then it'll be too late. So don't let that happen to you. And then each competency, each comp is worth 20% of your grade, right? So just keep that in mind. But the thing about CBE courses is you have to earn an 80% or higher on each competency in order to pass the course, right? There is no C or D in this course, right? So if you get a 79% on any of these comps or lower, you don't pass the course. So do keep that in mind. Okay, and the rest of this stuff we can get through by taking a look at the course. Okay, so by the way, make sure you get me in chat, or you can even open up your mic at any point during this talk, and I will respond to your questions as soon as I see that you have a question. Okay, a couple of things to keep in mind. Oh, real important. Don't use this tool here to contact me, message tool. Use the Pronto tool. The reason why you want to use the Pronto tool is it's an app, and you can download it to your phone, and you should download it to your phone, right? You don't have that much time in this course. And so if I'm sending out announcements, or if you need to get a hold of me, and obviously the phone is a much better way of getting a hold of me, you want to know when my response is coming back to you on a message that you already sent me, right? Download the app to your phone and check in regularly. That's where I will list any announcements, direct messages to you, and responses to direct messages to you will all happen here in Pronto. And yeah, so the reason why is if you send me a message here, I don't get them in real time, right? That makes sense? So I teach a number of classes, and so especially since there are no specific due dates in this course, I might not, I never go more than 3 days without checking the course, but yeah, you might have a question that you need responded to today. And I don't log into this course for 2, maybe 3 days. It's you're waiting, wondering why I'm not getting back to you. Well, I would have got back to you pretty quickly if you had sent me a message on Pronto. And I do get back to students pretty quickly, generally speaking, right? If I got things like today, I let everybody know I had a busy day, might not get back to you in a timely manner. But I do get back to students pretty quickly. So keep that in mind going forward. If I don't get back to you within a day, no more than 2 days, something went wrong, right? I do not make it a habit to ignore my students. So if, yeah, 2 days goes by at the most, I won't find it rude or pushy or you're being impatient in any way if you send me a message saying, hey, I sent you this message yesterday and I haven't heard a response, right? Simple as that. And I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Okay, so the orientation video will be posted here along with the exam once it's available, right? You have to have it done by March 19th at 8:40. What the heck? The orientation link will be made available after March 19th. Oh, oh, I get it. After, yeah, the 19th. Okay. Okay, the exam will be due on the, just to make sure calendar, on the 22nd at 5 p.m. 22nd at 5 p.m. And that'll be made known in this folder here. In that folder. Yeah, all of that's hidden for a good reason. So I'm going to clear all that out and I'll have it updated with the stuff for our course for this session. So the video for the orientation will be there and the exam for the orientation will be there. Take the exam as soon as possible before this Friday, 5 p.m. And let me know in Pronto when you have submitted it so I know to grade it promptly, right? And basically, if you don't submit it to me by the due date, then you are liable to be blocked from the course. You're not going to be withdrawn from the course, but you're going to be blocked from the course, and it'll be required for you to get a hold of me via Pronto for you to have access to the course again and to make sure that you get oriented with the course, right? If you don't know what to do going forward, this is the time to be confused. It's okay to be confused right now, right? Just don't stay confused, right? So if you need any clarification, you need any question answered, reach out to me. Okay, so this is a good folder to be aware of. It's just got all sorts of resources here, the Distance Learning Help Desk. Write this number down, 872-2598, put it in your contacts, right? Put it in your contacts list. You're going to need to call them, right? If you reach out to me, if you're having a technical problem on Blackboard, I might be able to help you, but most likely not, right? Those people will be able to help you if you have technical problems on Blackboard. Okay, there we go. Mouse isn't working very well. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's just take a look at comp 1, and the rest of the comps work the same way. So once we get through that, we'll be ready to go. Okay, so there are 5 post tests available for this unit here, right? So parts 1 through 5. So the first one begins with so the first thing, let me back up. First thing you want to do, obviously, is take the pretest, right? Word about the pretest. Don't worry about how you do on the pretest. Do attempt them, right? It kind of gives you an idea of what to expect, but they don't count against your grade. If I had my way, I wouldn't have these pretests in there, but this is a CBE course. Just take it so you can have this stuff made available to you. So if you haven't taken the pretest, make sure you take the pretest so this stuff will be made available to you. If you do take the pretest and these parts to the post-test aren't available to you, let me know so I can make it available to you, right? So the first thing you want to do once you take the pre-test is go to the Chapter 15 overview. And what you're going to notice there is there will be sometimes one chapter, sometimes two chapter material, right? This is all coming from the same chapter. It's just divided between the primary sources and the secondary sources and the primary sources. So let's open up this. And so you got a chapter here, right? And oops, this is the right textbook, but it's not the right link. So that's all right. We'll leave that. But what's missing in here is the study guide. So let me see if I can quickly bring up the okay. Here we go. Bring this up here. I'll relink that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so reconstruction. This is what should be in here. It's just more, it has the study guide materials in these links. It's the same textbook, but it's just in a different format. So this is what should be there within that link. Click the study guide. That link takes you to the study guide, and this is scrolling you down, just down to here, right? So open that up. And since for the chapters, for the textbook chapters, it's just multiple choice questions. Don't worry about the study guide questions here, right? Just ignore those. What I would recommend is copying and pasting, put this into some document, print out the document. Ideally, if you really want to make sure that you're not wasting your time, right? And that's the point of trying to be thorough in all of your responses and your preparation. Take the time to be thorough the first time so you don't have to go back and do it another time, right? Or you don't have to do as many assignments as necessarily, right? You don't necessarily have to do all of the assignments if you're thorough. So a thorough way to prepare is to handwrite each of these terms. It might take you 3 minutes to do that, maybe 5, right? But handwrite these out. And what that will do is if you just copy and paste these, you're not really reading or seeing what it is you're going to be preparing for as you read through here, right? So if you take the time to write these down as you're reading the text, these terms will pop out to you a little bit more since your body is connected, right, to your mind as you're writing these terms down. But however you do it, when you come across information about the 13th Amendment, any dates, individuals associated with the 13th Amendment, some events, some outcomes associated with the 13th Amendment, write that down, right? And so you might find that the beginning of the chapter talks about 13th Amendment. At the end of the chapter, it's going to refer back to the 13th Amendment, right? Have your study guide out there so you can just write down notes as information comes out about whatever term it is you're writing about, right? So, and that's how you prepare for reconstruction. And then there are what are referred to as primary sources. So let's open this one up. Okay, that one is linked correctly. Good. Okay, so what are primary sources? Primary sources are documents, artifacts from the historical record. So it could be a letter written, it could be a law passed, newspaper article, right? A diary entry, right? That is a primary source. Primary sources are the material historians use to write textbooks or documentaries or to draft lectures, right? That's what primary sources are. So it's basically artifacts from the historical record. And so the thing that you want to do to prepare for the primary source quizzes is to have these questions in mind. Now, some of these questions might apply to some of the primary sources, all of these questions might apply, or some of these questions would apply. But at the very least, you definitely want to jot down when the source was created. So when was the letter written, right? Who created it, right? Who's writing the letter that you're reading or the newspaper article? What do you think the purpose of the primary source is, right? So just these questions to keep in mind as you're going forward as the basis of your notes, right? And then you'll take a multiple choice quiz. And for those, you don't need to let me know if you completed them or not. They should grade them automatically. If for some reason there's a written response in these quizzes right here, let me know. There shouldn't be written responses in these quizzes here, because if that's the case, then I will have to grade it manually. And you'll get full credit if there is a written response. Just skip if it is asking you for a written response. And the other available, by the way, you don't have to do any of these questions in any particular order, right? So you can start down here if you want, or here, right? Wherever you want to start. So here you have the text available in this link here, right? So you got those two chapters that you need to open over. It's the same chapter, but this is the secondary and these are the primary sources. For the other assignments, things like a video quiz, open this up and there's a whole bunch of video quizzes to watch here. The content is in those links there along with the questions. So you'll open up the video. It's a YouTube video through Edpuzzle. It's taking a little bit of time. But anyway, you'll open up the video, you'll watch the video, and this will be a good test to see if it's available. Sometimes things aren't available, so let me know if they aren't available. One student already did, so thank you very much for doing that. Oh, wow, and students have already have completed it. Excellent. Wow, that is very impressive. Nice. So in those videos, there are quiz questions embedded within the video, right? And so a question will come up, the video will pause, you'll respond to the question. It might be a multiple choice, it might be a written response. Now, for any written response in these the video quizzes, this documentary, this is just another Edpuzzle, but it's a documentary. And then here's another documentary as well, right? If there's written responses, you do pretty well on this written responses. Now you're going to have to complete most of the assignments per comps, but if you get to you have to get at least an 80%. What I would recommend is striving for a 90%. And once you've reached that 90%, move on, right? Go to the next unit. Don't worry about getting a perfect score. You most likely won't, right? There's no such thing as being perfect, right? For anything, including this course. Right? There's always something better you can do, right? A little bit more improvement in the struggle for your preparation. So you might not necessarily, again, have to do all the assignments. If consistently on the written responses, you're earning an 80 or higher, right? On your written responses. Now, and so, yeah, you might, if you have an average of 90% for the assignments that you're attempting, and you're attempting, a good 70% of the assignments that are available in this competency, yeah, you might not have to do all the assignments. Now, if you're consistently getting low 80% and occasionally 70% here and there, and you don't do all the assignments, right, or you get real low scores on some of the assignments, then yeah, you might have to do every single assignment in there. So take the time. You want to make sure you're moving at a steady pace, but take the time that you're doing it right the first time to save yourself some time going forward, right? And
Professor,
yes.
I'm sorry. This is Gerardo Gracia. How you doing? Good evening, sir.
Hey, Gerardo. Good. How are you?
I had a question. I got a little confused. I know you mentioned taking the quizzes, and you further explained moving into the lectures at the bottom, part 4 and 5. However, I heard you mention that if there's any written or anything that we needed to write in the quizzes, that we could skip that and
No.
let you know. So I got a little confused
Oh,
when,
oh, oh, oh,
yeah.
oh, oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, let me just clarify what you're talking about here. I was referring specifically to these quizzes here,
Okay.
to the Chapter 15 reconstruction quiz, the Chapter 15 primary quiz. These
Okay.
quizzes should only be multiple choice.
Gotcha.
Right. So what I was just saying, if you happen for this competency or another competency, take a chapter quiz, not a video quiz, not a documentary, not a lecture, but
Okay.
a chapter quiz. And there's a written prompt in there asking you a question to respond to this in a paragraph or something. That's a mistake, right?
Okay.
That shouldn't happen, but I just want to, if that happens, just skip it,
Gotcha.
and let me know. So, because then I need to manually grade that quiz if there's a written response. So
Okay.
I don't have to manually grade those quizzes if it's just multiple choice, because it'll grade it automatically and post it to the grade book. Right? Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
So
as far as the lectures on the bottom on the documentaries and what have you, are both of those chapter 4 and 5 all written, or there's multiple choice or what have you, or is it
so for the
fill in the
yeah,
blank?
for the yeah, it's a collection of both, right? There'll be for
Okay.
all of these, for video quizzes, for documentary, for any particular lecture, there will be a multiple choice and written responses.
Got
And
it.
so you don't have to let me know for these written responses
Okay.
that you've submitted them unless you notice 2, 3 days have gone by, no more than 3 days. If 3 days goes by, absolutely get a hold of me and saying, hey, I submitted the
Yeah.
reconstruction
Perfect.
documentary 3 days ago and it hasn't been graded. Let me know, because that means I meant to grade it, but I just skipped it, right? I didn't see
Okay.
it, or I had a huge amount of grading to do, and yours just got
Great.
lost in the shuffle. So I won't find that rude or pushy at all if you reach out to me. But basically, for these ed puzzle quizzes, I'll show you how the sausage is made here. So here I am. Let me show a different class that's not in session anymore, right? I've got pending to grade, right? There's nothing here, but basically, yeah. So yeah, I've got all of these things to grade. So
Gotcha.
I click there and grade, and I do this just on the morning when I wake up, I grade. In the afternoon, I have time where I grade. In the evening, before I settle in, I get some more grading. So I'm regularly grading this on a consistent basis. So again, if that's why I'm saying that if 2 or 3 days goes by and you don't receive a grade, something went wrong. So just let me know.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, any other questions from anybody? Let's go to the study guide to make sure I got to everything. So the most effective way to get a hold of me is through Pronto. My name is Robert Kennedy. What must you earn on each comp? An 80%. Do you necessarily have to complete, oops, that should say each post test? There we go. If not, how can you skip some of them? Right? So you don't necessarily have to complete each post test per competency. You're going to have to do most of them, but you might find that, oh, I didn't have to do a handful of those video quizzes, or I didn't have to do a documentary because I was earning a 95% consistently on most of the assignments, and I got a 90% for the total unit. So good enough, right? And keep in mind, you could always go back, right? So that's why I say once you get to a 90%, or even, I would say even like an 88, 87%, move on to the next comp, because you can always go back and complete assignments that you didn't finish, or if you have another attempt, you can do that as well, right? Okay. And how do you prepare for multiple choice chapters and primary quizzes? Yeah, take a look at the study guide, the drop-down menu, as I explained. Open up the drop-down menu and just refer to the key terms and take notes on those key terms. Identify at least 3 items from the writing guidelines. So yeah, open this link up here and be very acquainted with these writing guidelines. If you're wondering why you might be consistently getting 70s or low 80% on your written work, this will give you a hint of what might be needed, right? So you want to refer to dates. You want to refer to relevant geography, relevant specific individuals, events, right? As it's all talked about in here, right? So there's some more information here referring to other assignments. Just know it's just applying to any written work. Don't worry about this link here, how to prepare for lecture exams. There are no lecture exams in this particular session. But basically, what you want to understand is be specific as possible, be as thorough as possible. So And being thorough might mean that you're just writing a sentence. Being thorough might be meaning you're writing 2 or 3 paragraphs, right? Typically, each response is going to be 2 to 3 sentences, maybe a complete paragraph. But based on the complexity of what the prompt is asking you and based on how much information is in that video or documentary or audiobook that you're listening to, will help you understand, oh, I need to be a little more thorough. They gave me lots of background information about this event. And so, yeah, I'm going to be as thorough as possible here, right? And that's something you have to kind of discern for yourself. You could always reach out to me for clarification. Hey, for this particular question, I'm going to take another attempt on it. Roughly how long should this be, right? Okay, so, okay, go back to the orientation study guide. Okay. And what is the phone number for the distance learning helpline? 872-2598. Put it in your contacts, right? For each comp, explain why it is possible for the grade to increase or decrease at any moment through the course. That's something I didn't touch on. So yeah, understand, not just for this course, but for most courses, whatever grade is posted is kind of a moving target. It's not going to be it's not going to be like you're going to go down from a 90% to a 0 at any given moment. But this is why you want to strive for any given competency to get into the upper 80%. Because if you're at an 80% and that's just it, well, as I'm grading and as the grades are being posted, sometimes the grades don't post and then I need to post them manually. They should post automatically, but sometimes the settings aren't set correctly. That's my fault, but that's just what might happen. That's going to change the calculation slightly. And the more assignments you're doing, it's going to slightly change the calculation of what it's trying to grab in order to make sure that you have an 80% or higher to move on. So you can see, hey, yesterday I had an 80%, today I have a 75%. What happened? Well, probably I got some grading done, and some of the grades were posted. So keep that in mind going forward, that, yeah, it is possible that your grade can drop or maybe even increase by 5%, 2 to 3%, something to that effect. How many hours a week should you expect to devote to the course, content, and assignments in order to successfully complete the course? You got 7 weeks, right? It's going to be quite a bit of time now. It might not be each day, right, that you're going to be dedicated to this course, but you should understand that there should be at least 3 days where you're putting in 2 to 3 hours during those days, at minimum. At minimum. Now that might, and I don't recommend sitting down for 3 hours at one time to do this. Break it up over the course of the day. But you should have a dedicated timeline, a consistent schedule throughout your duration in this course. And so how many hours per week would I say? It could be a little bit different, but you should expect to be putting in 12 to 15 hours a week in this course at minimum, right? So, and then let me know about your schedule, right? This isn't particularly for me, right? There's no right or wrong answer to this, but I want to see that you have put some thought into a dedicated schedule for this course. So write down your schedule, let me know what you can dedicate to this course. And if you do create your schedule and you look at everything that you have going on and there's just no room for this course, it's an indication that this might not be the right time for you to take this course, right? You don't want to come at me and saying, hey, I haven't started this course sometime in late April. Is there anything I can do? My response is most likely not, right? Okay. Any questions you guys have?
Yeah, the professor, the distant learning help phone number was 872-2598. I didn't catch it early. I kind of logged in a little late, but
Yep. I'll put it in
you
the
just
chat too for
872-2598. Yeah.
Yep, 872-2598, and I just put it in the chat for everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad that's real important,
And
right?
one of my last questions, I know there's quizzes, there's comp tests. You mentioned assignments, that if the grade is up in the 90-95s with regards to completing assignments, you're referring to the actual quizzes and tests and what have
So
you, or there's something
yeah,
additional that
any of the post tests, any of the assignments within the post test is what I'm referring to.
okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
around that line too, understand your grade is based on 80% for the competency. So if you happen to get an assignment that's below an 80%, that doesn't necessarily knock you out for the running, right? You're striving to
Yeah.
get an 80% for the entire competency. So yeah, if
Gotcha.
you happen to get a 50% on this documentary for some reason, doesn't mean you're not going to pass the competency.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, no, great question. Thank you. Any other questions?
My name is Jose Secula. The only thing that I have is that I was looking at the grades and there's a lot of them past due.
Yeah, so that was addressed at the beginning of the orientation. Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. So really take note of this. The due dates, oh no, I'm sorry. I think I'm getting my earlier orientation confused. Yeah, so yeah, if I didn't address that, I apologize. That's real important. Yeah, the due dates. Don't worry about the due dates or any of the assignments. The due dates are on there as basically a placeholder. There's a flaw in something that they're going to update. So hopefully next session that I'm teaching, I won't have to do this anymore. But the calculations for the competencies and the calculations for the overall grade, I don't have an overall grade posted yet, but I will a little bit later in the session as we get towards the end. Won't grab the post-test assignments before the due date. So I kind of find it important for students to kind of know in real time where they're at, more or less throughout the course. Again, it's kind of a moving target that any grade posted as far as a competency grade is concerned or an overall grade. But more or less, you should have an idea. Am I passing this course or am I excelling in this course? And so, yeah, if I don't have past due dates, I do apologize for the confusion here, but if I don't have that, you won't have any way of knowing through the grade book in real time how you more or less are doing in this course, right? So ignore the due dates. Don't worry about the due dates. All of the assignments are available. If they're not, let me know, and I will make them available to you as quickly as possible. But the due dates are just there to make sure you understand where you're at in this course due to the kind of a glitch in the system that they currently are trying to update on Blackboard, not STC, but at Blackboard's end.
Got it. Yeah, because I do the same thing for my students. I put due dates that way they know where they're at.
Yeah, okay, you got me then. Okay, cool, thank you. Yeah, let me know any other questions, anything else that you need some clarification on, or it didn't seem like I covered it too as thoroughly as necessary.
Yeah, I got a question. When are you going to start teaching government, sir?
Oh, I don't have a MA or a PhD in poli sci, so never. I would love to. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to teach those courses, but yeah, I'm not qualified to teach those courses. But yeah, there's a lot of crossover between the two, so it would be great if I could teach both.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
no problem. Oh, okay. Okay, well,
All right.
I can hang out for another minute or two if there's no questions coming in, just to make sure that in case someone's thinking about a question or how to phrase it. But, just otherwise, you can open up your mic and ask away. As you see, I don't yell at students too much when they ask a question, just only a little bit. I won't yell at you. Along that line, though, if I happen to give you a quick message on, the problem with these kinds of messages here is you don't know the mood I'm in, right? And so if it just seems like I'm being curt and quick to the point, that's most likely I have a whole bunch of messages I'm getting through. And so, yeah, if you kind of like, whoa, did I'll never write all caps to you, and I won't like say, how dare you or anything like that. But if you get the sense that, wow, he was pretty quick with that and seemed like I was bothering him, you're not, right? You're never going to be bothering me if you're asking a question. But yeah, if it comes across that way in pronto, it's just because I've got a lot of messages going on. Okay, any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, well, thank you again for joining. I'm gonna call an end to this meeting unless somebody at the last second gets me here, but I think we're good. And I should have this orientation video posted by tomorrow, and then the orientation exam will be posted hopefully by sometime tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So you can start on that. But anyway, yeah, you guys have a good evening, and I'll talk with you later.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.